When I landed in Israel, I landed in Tel Aviv and then moved to Jerusalem. But having traveled all over, I can't say with any certainty what's going to happen. All that I know is that something big has changed. And everyone I spoke to all believe something has to happen and they cannot return to how things were before. And that's everyone on both sides. My name is Nils Adler and I'm a producer with Al Jazeera English. And between us, I fear that this war could become a much larger regional conflict. I was based mainly in occupied East Jerusalem, amongst a Palestinian community. And they spoke about how the Israeli authorities, the police and the soldiers had completely changed how they interacted with the Palestinian community.
I didn't do anything. You asked me for my ID, I showed you my ID.
So before, if they had been treated badly, they could complain. But after October the 7th, all those rules went out the window and they were being routinely harassed. I met two young men who lived in the old city and they spoke about the collective punishment that the Palestinians in Jerusalem face every time there's a flare-up in tensions, or in this case the war. And there'd been a real increase in the surveillance of what they were saying online. No one could post anything that was pro-Palestinian. No one could even like a post. No one felt they could speak to me about what was happening. Seeing some of these young guys, I understood how they must felt to be pushed up against the wall, their legs spread, to be told things about their mothers or their sisters, to have their phones searched, to be insulted but not be able to react to it. I definitely felt how humiliating that must have been. When I first arrived, I went south towards the Gazan border. There were very chaotic scenes. Israel had called up thousands and thousands of reservists. The noise was relentless. There was a continuous sound of missiles and an aerial bombardment that Israel was launching on Gaza, but you would also occasionally hear missiles come the other way. Now in the north, things were very different. The Israelis I speak to, there was a real fear of Hezbollah. Almost everyone I met in a town called Kiryat Shimon were armed with assault rifles and also with pistols on their hips. It was an eerie feeling. Everyone was preparing for something. The fear was much different to the south. They were exchanging rockets. They perhaps thought the Hezbollah was more of a force to be reckoned with. In the southeast, in Eilat, they fear an attack from Yemen. Now across the Red Sea, Yemen have fired missiles and drones at Eilat. A US warship has had to take those out. The Israeli Air Force has scrambled when that happens. So as I travelled around all over, I understood this had the potential to become a much larger regional conflict. Covering this war compared to other ones that I've covered is incredibly sensitive. I feel anything that's said will be criticized by someone. And I also feel that operating in Israel, if you say anything that's considered sympathetic to Palestine, there will be a strong reaction. I feel I have to watch what I say at all times, but I believe it's important to continue to say how people are feeling, because especially the Palestinians I spoke to say they can't express themselves. They said for 75 years they'd never experienced anything like this. Before they could say something to a journalist, but now nothing. Nothing will go back to how it was before.